Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm retired Command Chief Master Sergeant Jim Whitlow of the Colorado Air National Guard. It is an honor and pleasure to serve as your Master of Ceremonies for this event, welcoming home for the wall that heals in Mead. Please stand for the presentation of our nation's colors and military service flags by the American Legion Post 32 Honor Guard, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Honor guard, halt. Left, face.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor Guard, you may now retire the colors.
2. Right, face. Forward, march.
You may now be seated. Tonight I welcome our first guest speaker, Mead Mayor Colleen Whitlow.
Good evening, honored guests, fellow veterans, ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege to be here with you tonight to welcome the wall that heals in Mead. Today is about the over 58,000 men and women on the wall, their families, friends, and the soldiers who came back forever changed. I believe the wall that heals not only captures the memories and the sacrifices, but it also changed the way people think about the Vietnam War and the changes that benefit our soldiers today. As a 10-year military veteran who served in Operation Desert Shield and Storm, I want to personally thank all the Vietnam veterans for their perseverance through a terrible time in our nation's history. By now, most of Americans know that we got it all wrong those years long ago, not recognizing the dedication, bravery, heroism of our service members who fought an unpopular war. Many of our Vietnam veterans have been and are still committed to making sure all veterans are treated with respect and thanked for their service. With your effort, it is with your efforts that these service men and women who came after you are treated as heroes. All veterans are. Thank you for staying the course and making a difference for me and all of our fellow service members. This ceremony is not just about today. It is about every day. Every day, it's our duty to remember the sacrifice of those etched in the wall and their families. It is our duty to remember those who serve alongside them that came back with broken bodies, broken minds, and broken homes. It is our duty to remember the 9 million Americans who served during that time, the 304,000 who are wounded, and 1,253 that are still missing in action, and the 2,500 prisoners of war. It's our duty to remember. I thank you for being here tonight. Welcome home, welcome home, welcome home.
Join me in welcoming Weld County Commissioner Scott James.
My name is Scott James. I'm your neighbor. I live over in Johnstown. I'm also very proud and honored to be chairman of the Weld Board of County Commissioners. I am a 4th generation Coloradan, 3rd generation Weld County guy. Very proud of our county. 4,017 square miles that I think is still a kind of a utopia, kind of a symbol of what it should be. Because we respect that freedom and we respect those who served. So may I, on behalf of my fellow County Commissioner Lori Sane and the other 3 county commissioners who could not be here, thank you on behalf of Will County. For those of you who have served, with the names behind us who gave the ultimate sacrifice, we extend our thanks. I graduated Valley High School in LaSalle in 1981. It's not a huge call to serve at that time, not a clarion call. So I chose not to. Went to Northeastern Junior College and majored in agriculture education, and some years later graduated from CSU. I found myself in the broadcast industry, and as a public servant, as the mayor of town of Johnstown and now county commissioner, I was asked to come address a group of veterans on Veterans Day. And I expressed a regret, almost a guilt, for not serving. And one old gent came up after the talk and he says, "Scott, I don't want you to ever feel that guilt again. I served so you didn't have to." For those of you who served so I didn't have to, God bless you and thank you. To use a fictitious example, in the movie Saving Private Ryan, where Private Ryan at the end of the movie rises from the tombstone that represents his fallen captain. And he looks at his wife and he says, "Tell me I've led a good life." Every day I think of you, and I try with all my heart to encourage others and to do myself lead a good life. Thank you for leading that good life and for inspiring us to do so. God bless you. Thank you for your service.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce our next person. So please stand and recognize veteran of 2 tours in Vietnam as Infantry Platoon Sergeant, Sergeant Major John Thompson.
How many Vietnam veterans do we have here today? How about our more recent wars in the sandbox? Iraq, Afghanistan. Today I'd like to honor the more than 58,000 who are listed on that black wall, and those that are not. I'm not here to honor the names on that wall. I'm here to honor and remember the ones behind those names. Let's honor our brothers and sisters who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country and for your and my freedom. Today I'm going to talk about them and you Vietnam veterans. And while I'm speaking about a specific group of veterans, some of what I say will pertain to all veterans and everyone here. There's a message for a nation here. I'm going to talk about a time long ago, far away, but not really that far away in most of our daily, if not almost daily, thoughts and our nighttime sweats. I don't know how each of you feel about your service there, so I'll speak somewhat in generalities. You apply what fits. I'm going to tell you about something that I hope you've heard before, but if you haven't, it's about time you did. First, let me tell you that you have nothing to be ashamed of for having served your country in that hellhole we know and remember as Vietnam. You didn't go to Vietnam to save those little folks from the big bad communist thugs. You went there because you were ordered there. But once there, you did your job, and you did it well. When you're reminded in some way of those times in Vietnam, your service there, by a certain smell, or a sound, or a song of that era, or whatever it is that brings you back to those times, I hope they're not all bad memories. For some of you, they're not so good. I hope today I can change that a little for you. For others, your memories are about the courage and the sacrifices you saw on the battlefield. It's about those you served with. Once you were there, and having served your cherry time, and working your way into their ranks, it didn't take you long to realize You are all brothers. If there's any doubt in anyone's mind, I can guarantee you there's no color in a firefight. You were young and not really that well trained. You didn't know what to expect or what the hell was really going on. You were in a war that few understood, mostly by our leaders. But you fought hard and you won every single major engagement that you were asked to do. The Hydrang Valley was the first. You've seen the movie. We were soldiers and young. Colonel Hal Moore, the 1st Battalion, 7th Cavalry Regiment, in Khe Sanh. The Ashaw, the Battle of Wei, the Tet Offensive, Rolling Thunder, Hamburger Hill, Linebacker 1 and 2, and 100 other battles. You won every single major engagement. I know that sometimes it was hard to understand how you made those sacrifices to take that hill today, then walk off and leave it tomorrow and give it back to your enemy. To clear a zone for the farmers to harvest their rice, only to have the PAVN and the Viet Cong come in at night and take it away from them anyway. Some of you served among those Vietnamese people, and seeing them just wanting to be able to live in peace and freedom like we do. The average farmer could have cared less who ran that country. He just wanted to be left alone. That contact with them may have influenced you in some ways, but I think it's that battle brotherhood that probably influenced you the most. And when you came home, I don't know if anyone ever called your names and spit on you or not. I hope not. But some were, jeered instead of cheers, but that shame is not yours. It's on those who protested during those times. It's not your shame. You have nothing to be ashamed of. You did your job. President Nixon said, and I quote, "No event in American history is more misunderstood than the Vietnam War. It was misreported then and is misremembered now. Rarely have so many people been so wrong about so much. Never have the consequences of their misunderstanding been so tragic." End quote. The saddest tragedy of that era is those that fell into that trap. But you can walk away from it all with honor. You went there because you were ordered there, and once again, once there, you did your job, and you did it well. Afterwards, it was easy to fall into that trap of thinking it was all a waste. You can question the circumstances. You can condemn the war. You can condemn the politicians, the protesters, and especially the media. But never, ever dishonor your fellow warrior for doing his job by any feeling of guilt you may have had. Don't let those that died on those battlefields ever be dishonored by any of your feelings of guilt. And you can stop asking that question of why you made it back and he didn't. He was a good guy. Why him and not me? Why did I make it home and he didn't? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why you made it back. You made it back to honor him. You made it back to make sure that he or they will never ever be forgotten. You made it back to make damn sure their name's more than just another space on that black wall. Honor them. Remember their name. Remember their laugh. Never ever let their names be forgotten. Remember them with honor. That's your job. And if that's a job you didn't accept when you come home, your new job starts today. Honor them. That's why you made it back, to honor them. Never let them be forgotten. You made it back to honor that brotherhood that's formed only on a battlefield. That brotherhood is something that no one can ever take away from you. That bond that's seared into your souls. That's something no protester could ever have taken away from you. It's not about the politics of war. It's about your brother in arms. It's about that bond that nothing but battle can create. It's not about being in some foreign land, fighting for a people that you didn't even understand. It's about that brother on your left flank and your right flank. It's those you fought with. It's those you fought for. It's those you were even willing to die for. And you know that. Be proud that you answered the call and gave it your best. Never apologize for anything you did during or after that war. You have nothing to apologize for. Let me tell you why else you made it home. After building the most powerful war machine this world has ever seen, you came home to build an economy that surpassed any before. You made this a better country. That's what you did. Hell, you even won the Cold War. Have you ever wondered why there's so many people running around out there pretending to be Vietnam veterans? I don't think I've ever met anyone pretending to be one of the protesters of the era. Why do our current soldiers thank you for showing them the way? Because that's exactly what you did. That's why. No one can steal your valor. It's yours. You own it. Your memorial in Washington, D.C., along with the 3 servicemen statue and a Vietnam Women's Memorial, with some 5.3 million visitors a year, is the most visited war memorial in this country. It has one of the highest visitation rates in the world. That's your honor. And listen to me now. You did not lose that war. You all know about the rules of engagement. Let me tell you about some that you may not know. Navy pilot Lieutenant Phil Waters, navigator and bombardier on the A-6 Intruder from the carrier USS Constellation, flying into Hanoi on a bombing run, could look down at the surface-to-air missiles on the dikes holding back the South China Sea. He could not attack those surface-to-air missiles. No collateral damage. He might destroy the dikes and flood the rice paddies with salt water, ruining their crops. He could look into that huge Hyundai Stadium in Hanoi and see the SAM site inside of it. He could not attack that site. No collateral damage. Did you know our pilots cannot attack the MiGs on the ground? No collateral damage. Without these rules of engagement, how long do you think it would have taken our massive air power to have wiped out their entire Air Force? A week? Maybe a month? But we cannot attack them on the ground. You know about the rules of engagement on the ground. Don't fire until you're fired upon. Give those little folks a chance. Let them shoot at you first, then kill him. That sound too harsh? That's war. His job was to kill me. Mine was to prevent him from doing that. These rules of engagement came straight from the Oval Office of Lyndon Baines Johnson, your president, and Clark Clifford, your Secretary of Defense, both of whom were trying to buy a peace with our lives. You did not lose that war. The politicians may have, the protesters and the media may have driven them to it, but you did not lose that war. Remember, you want every single major engagement. That's what wins wars. It's been falsely reported on the internet that General Vo Nguyen Giap, commander of the North Vietnamese Army, may have said when he was considering his memoirs that if that war had lasted another 6 months, they would have had to surrender. Oh, that report is false. Think about it. It could have been true. No rules of engagement. But even with them, you won every single major engagement that you were asked to do. You controlled South Vietnam. You could go anywhere in South Vietnam that you wanted to. Sometimes it might take a good battalion of infantry to get you there, but I bet when you got there, you won the fight. With continued victories like those in the bombings of the Ho Chi Minh Trail, Hanoi and Haiphong, without those rules of engagement, they would have had to surrender if our politicians had not given up too soon. You won your war. Never let anyone tell you anything different. Those are fighting words. 91% of you say you're glad you served. 74% of you say you'd do it again, even knowing the outcome. You were not the drugged out culture that the media presented you to be back then. 97% of you were discharged under honorable conditions. 85% of you made a successful transition back into civilian life and even formed successful companies. You became doctors and nurses. You became preachers and teachers and professors. And for those of you who did, thank you for being there and telling those young folks the truth about your service. Your income exceeded that of non-Vietnam veterans of the era by more than 18%. That's pride. You did that. You may have confusing emotions about what you did, but there's one thing you should never forget. That's a brotherhood of having been there and done that, of walking the walk so others could talk the talk. Stand tall. Be proud of being a Vietnam veteran. You earned it. You earned it. Thank you for your service, and welcome home, brothers and sisters.
We're now going to be honored with 3 songs by the pipe band. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and remain standing as the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 1071, delivers the honor bell, 7 solemn tolls, and then we have the playing of taps. All right, please be seated. I'm going to go off script here for a minute because they gave me a mic and a platform. So, how many of you out there, this is the first time you've ever been to the wall or seen the wall? Did it move you? It's an amazing thing, right? It didn't get here all by itself. There was a lot of hard work that went into the background. So, where is Lorelei? Where are you at, Lorelei? Somewhere. There she is. So Lorelei was the person driving this to bring this amazing thing to Mead, and there were a lot of volunteers. So can you please give the town and Lorelei a big a round of applause? So we've ended the formal portion of this event. It was truly my pleasure to be your MC. I thank you all for coming to join us this evening, and you are all invited to come back out for the closing ceremony Sunday at 1 p.m. Let us not forget to our Vietnam veterans, your service and sacrifice will never be forgotten. Welcome home, and welcome home, and thank you for everything you did for us.